Abul in, is it, I can't pronounce it. You're in India
Yeah, it's
somewhere.
Bhopal in India. Can you hear
Bhopal?
me?
Bhopal.
Bhopal.
Bhopal. Well, thanks
Yeah,
for calling.
it's in India, central India. It's a small town.
What time is it there?
It's about 3:22 a.m. right now. I was awake and I said, okay, I wanted to get on the show and talking to you guys for a long while, and so I got this opportunity today. So
Oh, great. So
glad
what'd you
to
have?
hear from you. Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
I had heard this argument regarding argument from consciousness, and what I wanted to ask you was, what are the good arguments against it? What is the best refutation for it? It's been there for, I think, quite a while, since Descartes. I think, I'm not too sure, but probably some form or the other form has been there since Aristotle, I guess.
So the best response to any argument is going to depend on a couple things: the specific version of the argument that somebody's presenting, and the person
Right.
that you're talking to, because what their level of understanding is going to affect all this. But the core of this is that it's kind of an argument from ignorance, and this idea that, oh, we have consciousness. We not only don't have a really good explanation for consciousness, but it just seems bizarre that we have consciousness and perhaps other animals don't. And they think that the best explanation for this is that, God specifically created us with a conscious.
Right.
The consciousness. Not a conscience, but consciousness. And so it suffers from a bunch of flaws. One of them I just pointed out, which was, how did you determine that God is a more probable explanation for consciousness than, natural law? I don't know how they can calculate that at all.
Right, I totally agree there. And there are a few spin-offs of this same argument. One is using the modal properties, saying I have certain properties that my body doesn't have. Say, for example, when I'm dead, that's my body, but that's not me. So
I don't know that that's
so
true.
So the consciousness exists, and that's how the argument goes. One of the spin-offs of the same argument. I'm not quite sure, and I agree with you on that point. But
it's a very dualist approach, that me and my body are separate, and I'd argue that that's not the case. That when I'm dead, the body that's laying there is me. When we're talking about like the conceptual me, the acting agent me, that part doesn't exist. I'm dead. The mind is kind of what the brain does, and we know. I don't know. You were nodding. I didn't know if you had something you wanted to chime in on that.
Yeah, just what you're saying, that it's an emergent property of the brain, and it's not something that's separate. It's not a separate entity from your natural body processes.
I go back to like the Buddhist cone of where does the fire go when you blow out the candle?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's gone. But the fire was still a physical thing that was a product of the heat and the wick and the heat and the fuel. Oxygen, thank you. The fire triangle. I'm sitting here thinking, fire triangle, what's that last thing? Oh yeah, air. But you blow it out, so what you're doing is you're taking away the heat at that point, or changing the... anyway, we don't need to get into the fire thing because my brain's not working.
So the way they put it sometimes is that, okay, some of the properties that you can say, and I quite agree with you guys, but they say pain can't exist without an agent. Thoughts cannot exist without an agent. Ideas and all those things can't exist without an agent. So once you're dead, these are the modal properties that you had. But at the same time, when you're dead, you don't have these properties.
There's a problem there. There's a problem there as well when you start listing the individual properties that I have. For example, one of the properties that I have is a memory of the fire triangle. Now, if I can't recall that, if it goes away, am I no longer me? If I suffer brain damage and I lose a complete understanding of the fire triangle, am I not me anymore? And where did I go?
Right, I agree. And so one of the guy I was talking to, and I gave a similar explanation, and I said, you cannot really tell that body is not changing from a moment to the other because cells are regenerating from the moment to the other. And so your body does not remain the same from one moment to the other. And so do your thoughts, and thoughts are an emergent property of your brain.
Yep.
So mind is essentially, even though we don't understand much about it, it still is an emergent property of the brain, and you can't separate the two.
But even if they were entirely right about all of this, what they're really saying is this combination of things that I identify as me seems strange and unique, and I don't have a good explanation for it. Therefore, the supernatural becomes a good explanation for it, or it is itself supernatural. And there's no way that I'm aware of for anybody to demonstrate the existence of the supernatural. At least they've failed so far. So I don't know how anybody can make an appeal to this, to say, we don't understand this, therefore the best explanation is God did it.
Right. I agree.
And they go beyond that. They go beyond that. They don't just say we don't understand this. They say it's impossible for it to happen without a God. So then that's the giant leap there. It's like, where did that come from?
Yeah, they're not only claiming that they understand what they can't understand, but they understand it so well that they can declare what is and isn't possible by
Right.
any other means. This is one of the problems, we talked about the debate that I had with Cy. The presuppositionalists are saying that their worldview offers an explanation for consciousness and morality and all these other things, and they also say that no other worldview can. Well, they never demonstrate that their worldview can actually account for these things, and they never demonstrate that no other worldview can. And one of the problems of saying that no other worldview can requires you to have near omniscience about all other possible worldviews, to know that, and to have tested them to confirm that none of these can. But instead what they'll do is say, well, prove me wrong.
Right.
How about you start by proving yourself right? That would be really good.
True. Okay, can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
Is it a possibility? All right. So William Lane Craig, he has this argument from, and he assumes that the universe had a definite beginning, and most of his Kalam cosmological argument rests on this premise. Even though those scientists like Bode, I think, what's his name? Alan Guth?
Gluth?
Alan Guth.
Yeah.
Alan Guth, Willenkin, probably they are still saying that their theory does not in any way says that universe has a definite beginning.
Did you see the debate with Sean Carroll and William Lane Craig?
I heard it. I think I did hear it.
Yeah, it's up on YouTube.
podcast.
Sean Carroll did something which I think is the best thing that anybody's ever done in a debate. Knowing that Craig consistently cites Gluth, Sean actually played a video of Alan Gluth there basically saying Craig's wrong. And so it'd be like me getting up and saying, I'm not an expert on this, but here's what this expert said, and let me tell you what they mean. And then my opponent brings the expert on to say, no, actually, that's not what I meant. It was one of the coolest moments in a debate ever.
Yeah, I heard that debate, and at one point I remember WLC saying that this is what he said, but personally he told them that, somehow he cited some book or some reference to their book and saying that this phrase clearly says that there was a beginning. Probably he's twisting the words. That's what I'm believing, that they said that the expansion had a definite beginning, and that's what he's assuming to be a clear beginning. I don't know. I'm lost.
Yeah, and I end up setting all that aside because let's say the Kalam cosmological argument was correct.
Right.
And that we all accepted it. What does that tell us? Nothing. It just says that the universe had to have a cause. That's as far as you get. It doesn't tell you whether that cause is natural or supernatural. It doesn't tell you if it's a thinking agent. It doesn't tell you if that cause still exists. It definitely doesn't tell you that the cause was Jesus, which is what Craig actually believes. And so you have to go from that argument and then combine it with several others to get to what he believes. And so I've said that I don't think anybody on the planet's ever come to believe in any sort of God based on the transcendental argument for the existence of God. I don't think that this is the case for the Kalam or any other argument. Instead, what you have are people who believe something, and they believe for reasons other than these arguments, like Craig believes and has stated so, based on the internal witness of the Holy Spirit. So basically, he believes because of divine revelation. And then they go out and they try to find the arguments, not the arguments that convinced them, but the arguments that they think should convince other people. And this is why you see the same arguments come out, get beaten up, get taken back, somebody slaps a new coat of paint on them, changes a word somewhere, and tries to argue that theirs is significantly different from from their predecessors. And they're not, and they don't get you anywhere. There's this problem of trying to demonstrate anything supernatural, which actually I had done another video on about this problem, and it's a reason why science relies on methodological naturalism, and it doesn't make the assertion the supernatural does not exist. It says we have no way of investigating this, we have no way of determining the probability of things, we have no way of drawing causal connections to these. The closest we could ever hope to get is to find a phenomenon that we don't have an explanation for, and then it just sits there as a phenomenon we can't explain. And what the theists are trying to do is claim, but we can't explain it as long as we're able to appeal to magic. Okay.
Right.
But I'm not okay with appealing to magic.
I totally agree. I have this question. I have this thing in mind. If I'm lucky enough to witness this debate with any other atheist or somebody, I'm going to ask him this question: if all these arguments have failed, like the KSA or fine-tuning argument or any other argument that he cites all the time, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
If they all fail, for sure, is he going to come out of his theism?
Yeah.
Or he's going to believe? And I bet you that he's not going to come out, and he's still going to believe.
And I like that that line of questioning a lot. A lot of times, what comes up is what would change your mind. And we're asked this a lot, and my answer is I don't know, but if there's a God, he knows he should be capable of changing my mind. He hasn't done it, so either he doesn't exist or doesn't want me to know he exists. I like to ask them what would it take to change their mind, but the bar would be set to basically you would have to prove conclusively that I'm wrong about this, and they don't even think that's a possibility, so they're already dismissing any problems in the argument. I like your version better as a starter to say, okay, take your 10 best arguments, write them all down on a piece of paper. If we were able to show that all of them were in fact fallacious, and we throw away that piece of paper, would you then not believe? And most of the time the answer is going to be no.
That's true. That's true.
There are people who would probably say yes, because there are people who change their mind. I've changed my mind. Others have.
But you'd have to.
But I have to give one thing to William Lane, and he's one of the best debaters that I have seen in the theistic world, pretty much.
Oh, he's really good at obfuscating things and talking, and I look forward to finally getting him to agree to debate me.
Well, are you going to have a debate with him, or is it on the cards?
The last time he was asked about it, he refused to commit to a debate. So,
okay.
Not much I can do.
Interesting.
But anyway, thanks for calling. Get yourself some sleep.
Yes. Thanks for your time. Thanks for thank you both.
Yeah,
Sure.
Thank you, Abu.
We'll